We'll get things started, and at this time it's my distinct pleasure to welcome Ron Wellman.
I will be very frank with you. You weren't supposed to do that. My goal today is to get through this without turning into a ball of mush, and you didn't start it out very well to allow me to do that. First of all, let me thank you all for coming today. It means so much to us to have this type of turnout for this type of occasion. We are so appreciative of everybody making the effort to be here. You know, we only do this once every 27 years or so, so it's good to have everyone here. And my predecessor is here, and I cannot start this without recognizing Gene Hooks. And Gene, I hope you know what that man did for this university and this athletic department. If it weren't for him, I am convinced that Wake Forest would not be in the ACC. That's the value of that man. And Tom Walters said it best the other day when we were dedicating the new baseball center. We are all walking on the shoulders of Gene Hooks, and that is certainly true. So thank you, Gene, for everything that you have done. I told a group earlier today, too, that transitions are challenging. They're very, very challenging. But that man showed me how to make a transition and how to be so supportive of the new guy on the block. And I told him, Gene moved out of town for a few years. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to that extreme, but he certainly was a great role model for me going forward. Prior to coming to Wake Forest in 1992, Linda and I were on campus a couple of times. One time in the mid-1980s when I brought a baseball team down here to play the Demon Deacons, and then in the late 1980s when I brought a football team down here to play the Demon Deacons. On both of those occasions, Linda and I walked around campus, and both of us said, what a neat place. This place is beautiful, number one, but it's also just a warm, has a warm southern feeling to it. And I remember exactly where I was when I said, wouldn't it be neat to be at a place like this? Little did we know that a few years later we would have the opportunity to come to Wake Forest and serve as your AD starting in 1992. When I came to Wake Forest, my first trip here as a part of that process and for my interview, Dr. Ed Wilson was the chairman of that committee. And Dr. Wilson was described to me as the nicest man you will ever meet. Well, that's nice. You know, people, they say nice things about people when you haven't met them. So we'll see. 24 hours later, I was still here on campus, and I called Linda and said, Linda, I've met the nicest man I've ever met in my life. And I thought at the time, if this university can keep a man like that for as long as they have kept him, this is a place we want to be. This is unique. We have never had an experience like that. So I hope they offer me the job, because that's the type of place where we think we can be for a long, long time. Fortunately, the job was offered. We accepted in about 2 seconds, and here we are 26 plus years later. This has been a dream come true for Linda and me and our family. When you think about the last 26 years and what has happened, it has been such a privilege for us to be a part of you and be interactive with you and to cheer and to cry and to do all of the things that you do in the athletic world. I look out in the faces today and remember instances with each of you about those good times and those sad times. But to be able to share it with a large family like this was so meaningful to us. It just meant the world to us to have that opportunity. When we came here, our daughters were, one was in college, and one was in high school, and one was in junior high school. You've got quite a transition coming, John. And two of our daughters graduated from this place. And our other daughter, who didn't graduate from here, now works at Wake Forest. And collectively, between among our sons-in-law and our daughters, there have been 8 degrees earned from this institution. Linda and I do not have any of those degrees, and we're a little jealous about that, but we are so proud to be a part of this family, a part of this university, and our roots are certainly as deep as they can possibly be, and our love for this university is beyond anything that we could ever imagine. And my career at Wake Forest has given me the opportunity to interact with some of the icons of collegiate athletics, coaches and administrators, and I am so deeply humbled by that opportunity. One of the icons when I came here was the commissioner of our conference, Gene Corrigan. Gene is an icon from the very beginning. And he took me under his wing. Thank goodness he took me under his wing and showed me many things that I should do and a few things that I shouldn't do as well. He was, at that time, I think, the most respected man in college athletics. He was just a wonderful, beautiful human being. I say is or was, he still is. He's a wonderful, wonderful man. Then John Swafford has led our conference for the last 20-some years, and John has been a dear friend for the time that I have been here for the last 27 years, and I well remember calling him before I came to Wake Forest about a recommendation regarding a football coach at my previous institution, and John took that call, and I didn't think that he would ever do that, but he did, and became a fast friend once I came here. John and I used to play a lot of golf together. A lot to me is 3 times a year, and since that time, John has moved on because he is a much better golfer than I am now, and we do not play golf too much anymore, but he is an icon. And you think about where the ACC would be today without his leadership and the strength of his leadership. And where would the ACC be today if we were still a 9-member conference? And there is a lot of consternation, a lot of heartburn associated with that expansion, but we wouldn't be where we are. We wouldn't be the best conference in the country today if it weren't for expansion under John Swafford's leadership. We also are going to create and open the ACC network. The inaugural game will be in August sometime. That was a result, again, of John Swafford's leadership. I consider John one of the real strengths of collegiate athletics today, and we are blessed to have him as our leader. This is a remarkable fact, but in my 26-plus years at Wake Forest, I've had the pleasure of working with only 2 presidents. The president's tenure, I hate to tell you this, Dr. Hatch, but averages 4 or 5 years at universities and colleges across the country. And yet in 26 years, I've only had 2. And what a pleasure it has been with both of those individuals. Dr. Tom Hearn hired me, and I will always be grateful to him. And I think Tom Hearn was one of the most misunderstood men that I have ever known. He was more sensitive than anyone ever gave him credit for. Let me tell you a story. Linda's warned me not to tell too many stories today, but I love to tell stories, so I'm going, hey, this is my last time, so what are you going to do? After Skip Prosser died, Tom had already retired, but Tom would go over to the pool and swim in the mornings. And then every once in a while, he'd just come into the office and sit down, and we would talk. And it didn't make any difference if the door was closed or not. Tom would just come in, and he would sit down. And on one occasion, the door was closed, and it was a couple weeks after Skip had passed away. And I was talking with a friend on the phone, and I was having a difficult time. And I was emotional, and you know, a lot of things were coming out, and I was talking about Skip, and in barged Tom. And he sat right down. And I continued the conversation, and Tom kind of looked at me, and he knew that I was having a problem. And I thought, what's he going to do? And he got up. I thought, oh, he's going to leave, and I won't embarrass myself too much. He walked over to my chair and put his arms on my shoulders and began to rub my shoulders. And I hung up the phone. I stood up. He gave me a big bear hug. That's the Tom Hearn I knew. And that's the Tom Hearn I wish everybody had had the opportunity to know. I've had the opportunity to work with Dr. Hatch. And Dr. Hatch is a national leader in collegiate athletics. He took the NCAA through a tumultuous time. And so many of my colleagues asked me, is he for real? Because of the strength of his leadership. And he was one of those guys at every forum, he didn't have to dominate the forum. He would defer to other people. He wanted the experts to speak. And when he didn't know the depth of an answer that needed to be given, he gave the microphone to someone else. He's a unique man. He is extremely collaborative. He wants to know your opinion, and he is extremely supportive of our athletic department. The first meeting I had with Dr. Hatch, I asked him if we could build Deacon Tower. Nathan looked at me and said, well, now how much would that cost? I said, well, you know, we're thinking probably $60+ million. He said, let me get this straight. You are asking me to make the first big decision of my career at Wake Forest to approve Deacon Tower for over $60 million? I said, I am. He said, let me think about that a while. And so the next meeting, I went into his office and said, Dr. Hatch, have you thought about that tower that we really need to build? He said, I've talked with everyone on campus, all the leaders on campus, and every one of them has told me, do not do that. That's the last thing you want to do as your first decision, your first major decision. He said, so go on ahead and build it. I will forever be grateful for his willingness to step forward and support our program. And he has done that over and over and over. I would tell you that some of our conversations get emotional at times. He doesn't always agree with me. I know that's hard to believe, but he doesn't always agree with me. But one thing I love about this man is that whenever we are done talking, we always find something to smile about. We always find something to laugh about. So he gives me the comfort when I'm leaving that office, even though there has been maybe a disagreement or we don't see eye to eye on something, he allows me to feel comfortable with him. And he allows me to feel supported by him personally. That I treasure that, Nathan, and I thank you for that characteristic that you have. You know, for Wake Forest to succeed athletically, I have said many times that we need to be in lockstep. We need to be in lockstep with all of our constituencies. And fortunately, we are. We have a number of, trustees here today. And without the support of the trustees, we wouldn't have a chance. But they do support us. They want the very best for this university. Their attitude is real simple. If we're going to do it, we're going to excel at it. There are no excuses in athletics. And just because we're small doesn't mean we can't win. Just because we're small doesn't mean we can't attract the best. Just because we're small, forget that. You know, the little caboose that could, that's not who we are. We're a big caboose. We're a big engine. That's who we want to be. That's who we strive to be. That's who the trustees expect us to be. So trustees who are here, thank you so much for your willingness to step forward, your willingness to support us in the manner in which you have done throughout my tenure and throughout Gene's tenure as well. We are deeply appreciative of that. The university administration, I sit on the president's cabinet, and we meet every Tuesday morning, and I look around that room and I think, how blessed am I? To sit in this room with these people. Number one, I learn an awful lot from what they are saying and the direction and their approach and just their demeanor. But every time an issue is brought forward by any cabinet member, the other members jump on it in total support of that member. I haven't been in too many groups like that. They want the very best for each of us. And that starts with the leader. That starts with Dr. Hatch. He has developed that culture that we are all in this together, and we are all going to succeed together. And when we have challenges, we're all going to meet those challenges together. So all of you on the President's Cabinet, thank you for the support that you have unwaveringly given me and for the support that you give to one another. You have been an example of strength throughout that time. The faculty needs to be in lockstep with us. So often the faculty is criticized. I don't criticize the faculty because they are our partners. They have done wonderful things with our student athletes. When you think about the student athletes today and the demands upon the student athletes, the time demands and the time away from campus and the time away from classes, I can't tell you the story after story after story how the faculty have reached out to our student athletes to assist them through difficult times, whether it be tutoring them personally or making up a class or giving them a delayed deadline, whatever it might be, they cooperate. And yet they hold them to a high standard. They expect the very, very best of our student athletes. Just because they're an athlete doesn't mean that they should not be held to that high standard and have the performance that everyone else in that class has. We have our faculty athletic representative with us here today, Pete Brubaker, who takes great pride in his role, and great pride in the achievements of our athletes academically. And they do exceptionally well academically. Our donors, we would not be able to succeed and to excel at the level we currently are without our donors. When you look at this place and you look at every facility that has been improved over the last few years, it's the result of the generosity of our donors. Without them, we would not be competing at this level. It is important that we have great facilities. It is important that we be able to attract the top recruits in the country, and in Tony Bresky's case, the top recruits in the world, for us to win those championships. And if it weren't for those outstanding facilities, we would not have the opportunity to do so. So donors, thank you so much for all that you have contributed to our program. You know, there is nothing more important in any organization than the people in that organization. And I have had the opportunity, and I have been blessed to work with the best. I look out at the coaches sitting here. I look out at our administrators sitting here. I look forward to coming to the office every day because I have an opportunity to work with them. there are often times, and I've told them this, that you walk down the hall and you think, oh gosh, I hope I don't see that guy, I hope I don't see this person, there's going to be a tough conversation. And I couldn't name one of those people, well, maybe other than Bobby Moose. Seriously, I could not name one of those individuals in our department. I look forward to interacting with all of them, and it's a thrill for me to walk down the halls of our department and seeing them interact with one another. They draw such strength from one another, and they're so supportive of one another, and that is a thrill for me to observe. So I've had the opportunity to work with the very best, and I thank all of you for the support that you have given me throughout the years, and the way you conduct yourself and the way you represent this outstanding university. Our mission is very simple, because we can't remember an awful lot. We had a long mission statement at one time. It was very academic, and we were very proud of it. I couldn't remember it, and it sounded like every other mission statement. So I told our staff one day, we're going to do something with our mission statement so everybody can remember it. It's going to be 2 words: developing champions, and that's what we're all about. Our mission is to develop champions, and in the athletic world, immediately people think, well, you got championships and all. No, it goes way, way beyond that. We're going to develop champions for life. And that means doing well academically. And as I look at our coaches, there isn't one coach here that I don't trust to do the right thing academically. They have the same expectations of our athletes academically as they do athletically, and that's excellence. So we are developing champions for life, and they have embraced that concept and have certainly run with it. The other person that I'm going to thank is someone dear and near to my heart, and that's Linda. That would be Linda Wellman. Rogan looked a little confused there, like, who's he going to talk about here? Linda has been by my side throughout my career. We will have our 50th wedding anniversary in September. She has been a tower of strength for me. There is not one time in our professional life where she has said no. There have been many times when she wanted to say no, undoubtedly. And I'm not talking about moves. I'm talking about going to events or whatever. She has always gone. She has always been there. She has always supported me in everything that I ever wanted to do. I well remember when I was coaching baseball in the Chicagoland area. Not the best place to coach baseball in the spring. It's cold, it's windy, it's snowy, it's rainy, it's miserable most of the time. And we would play 60-some games a year, and Linda and our girls would be probably at 60-some games a year. There were many times when I would look in the stands and it would be snowing, and there would be 4 people. And it would be Linda and the 3 girls. And they were very young, and they would be in their snowsuits, and oftentimes they'd be falling through the bleachers into a mud puddle or something, but she was always there supporting us. I will tell you that she was the mother of our players. She was the confidant of our players, and they continue to love her today. I was going to say as much as they love me, but I don't know that that would be quite accurate. They have a world of respect for her. And we would not have had this opportunity or the other opportunities that have been bestowed upon us if it weren't for her support. There aren't many weekends, there aren't many evenings when I have been at home for many, many times or many years, and yet she never complained, never said a negative word. She just forged ahead and continued to support me. So, thank you. It has been an incredible privilege to serve as your athletic director for the last 26 years. And I can't tell you how much I look forward to the future of this department. I often say I'm so excited about the future. I'm as excited today about our future as I have been at any point in my career. When Nathan and I began talking about my exit, we finalized those plans in November. And it was the day of the NC State football game. I don't know if you remember that or not. And I asked Nathan a favor. And that favor was, I don't want to be a lame duck. So let's push this announcement back to the spring sometime. And he quickly agreed to that. And I am appreciative of that because I would not be effective as a lame duck. So this is the time when we are transitioning. And I am so excited about our new leader, John Curry. John and I go back a long, long way. When in 1992, when I first came here in the fall of 1992, I think it was in November, right before Thanksgiving, I had my first meeting with a group of student leaders. John Curry was in that meeting as a student. I was impressed with John, and he became an intern in our department, in our development department. He did an outstanding job. We hired him full-time. He did an outstanding job. Unfortunately, Tennessee thought he did an outstanding job too, and they stole him from us. We weren't going to take that easily, so we stole him back, and he came back to Wake Forest. And then Tennessee stole him again. And from Tennessee, he went to Kansas State, and he took their program as their athletic director to heights that they had never experienced before. Facility improvements and great hires and championships, and the way he was transparent with everything that had never occurred at Kansas State. He was a leader during all the consternation and rumors of the demise of the Big 12. He was a leader in the Big 12 and making sure that that conference was in a position to stay together. There isn't an athletic director or commissioner in the conference who wouldn't say positive things about John Curry. We have an excellent future because we have an excellent leader coming on board. So I am thrilled that John Curry is going to be leading our program. I'm going to ask John to come up here for a little presentation. This is off script, I know, but hey, get up here. 26 years ago, at my press conference, I think it was Cook Griffin who gave me this lapel pin. It was Julie? Julie? I have worn this deacon head for 27 years, and I have worn it proudly for 27 years. No, you're not getting it, John. But I found my deacon's brother. And John, you get the brother, okay? So I'm going to pin you here, if I can get it out, with the new deacon.